We've got 2 massive boxes of antique swords to open. Hi folks, it's Matt and Lucy Easton, Schola Gladiatoria and Easton Antique Arms. Now this is a first on this channel, so you know about our legendary unboxings. They are legendary, don't laugh. And you know, I know that some of you love these, and I know that some of you, big shout out to those of you who made it to the final sword in the last epic video. No one's going to make it to the final sword in this video. If you make it to the final sword, post final sword when you get to the final sword. Okay, now, a heads up, I've got 2 large boxes here, and these have arrived during this week, and I've actually been saving these up for this basically. I said to Lucy, do you want to do another unboxing video? And she is like, hell to the yeah, aren't you? Because you love these. You live for these unboxing videos. That's exactly how I talk as well. So yeah, that is literally what Lucy... Accurate representation, yes. Lucy lives for these things, basically. So this is for Lucy.
Well, I have tools.
But I can't tell you that, can I? That's the whole point of these videos. But there's going to be something a little bit different about this video. We're going to have to go really quickly through each sword because I can't remember, but I think we've got in the region of 15 swords. And on past form, that would mean that this video would end up about 3 hours long, which we can't do. We've not had dinner. We've not had dinner. It's a Saturday evening. That's what we do with our time. Rock and roll life. I know, right? All those days of hedonism and nightclubs and stuff like that are gone. We're now just cardboard boxes and antique swords on a Saturday night. Actually, that's pretty cool. So anyway, if you're tell us first of all in the comments down below, what are you doing while you watch this? I'm really curious because these are quite long videos. Do you put it on and then do some cooking, or what do you do? Do you play video games? I'm really interested because, you know, I watch other people's channels that do quite long videos, like my friend Drakinophil, and I often do like cooking and stuff when I'm listening to his stuff. But anyway, what do you do when these are on? Maybe you just watch avidly, which is also really, really cool. I love how you were like, we're going to be really quick because there's so many swords, and then your intro was longer than you've ever done an intro before. Pacing is his only flaw. I am such a failure at these, and I actually, before we go into this, let's just open the boxes. Okay, I'll open the goddamn box. Right, let's start with this box because it stands up, and this one I'm having to hold up. So very briefly, just out of tradition, because it was so effective last time, this is the Lansky, and this is designed by Williamson, and you gave me this. And it is a non-locking but very, very stiff, and it's got a slightly beak-like hooked blade, and it's really good for these things. Right, I'm not going to show all of the unwrapping because that would make the video insanely long, so I'm going to open this up and then hand over the first sword. We'll show it to you and then hand it over to Lucy. So let's get going with the first box, and these are from these are both from auctions, okay, so these are auction wins. They're going to be probably all going on the website, Easton Antique Arms, linked down below. Unless I really like them. Unless Lucy really likes them, or unless I really like them. But basically, no, I've got to sell swords to make a living. So let's get unboxing. Yes, let's get unboxing, but they'll be on, link below on Easton Antique Arms. There's a bunch of stock on there already, but let's do this auction first. Right, that was a brilliant box, quite difficult to open, but we are now down to bubble wrap. It's big bubble wrap too. Do you prefer small or big bubble wrap? Small, because I find it difficult to fit the big bubble wrap in boxes when I'm packing it. I don't mind receiving it, but I don't like sending it. I like small because you can pop it like this, but big's not satisfying to pop. So we both prefer small over big, but there you go. That's one of the... Oh. How many swords are wrapped in here? I don't know. How many do you think? Guess the number of swords. That's the first challenge. So how many swords are in this bundle? 5. Interesting. I think you're in the right ballpark, but I don't think it is 5. Ugh. Right, okay. Am I going to guess? Okay, so look away for a second. So I'm going to show you guys first, so you get to see. I already accidentally saw, but I don't know what it is. Right, hold on, let's Right, can you guess what this is? Lucy, unwrap it.
It's British or French?
What makes you say that?
The shape of this.
Do the French have those?
Do they not?
No.
Oh, interesting. Well, then it's British.
But there is a reason why I asked you why you thought it might be French. So
it's short. It just
very
yes.
Very briefly. So, do you know what that is? There we go. Or what it isn't even. So that shape of guard, very 1796 like cavalry sabreish. So definitely British inspired. Doesn't always mean it's British. There were other nations. The Americans, the Dutch, the Portuguese, who like to copy, and the Prussians, who like to copy British designs at this time, so it could be continental if we're not sure where it's from, and in fact this might be continental. One of the reasons why I asked Lucy why she thought it might be French is because...
a bit French.
Yeah, it's because this is brass, so the French like to use brass on their hilts. That's really cool, it's nice. It's like a narrow, slim, lighter version of a 1796, but with a brass hilt. I think this is probably Napoleonic or just post-Napoleonic. I can't see any makers' marks or names on it, so no clues as to where it's from. So I don't know, but we would describe this as a Georgian stirrup-hilted, brass-hilted sabre inspired by the 1796, probably Napoleonic or just after.
But it's not a 1796.
It's not a 1796.
Because then I would have been
Some
wrong.
people would call this a flank officer's sabre, or possibly, which I wouldn't, and that term really annoys some people. It doesn't annoy me, but it does annoy some people out there. Chris, you know who you are. Yeah, there we go. It's a nice little sabre though, isn't it? It's cool. It's not that short.
It feels a bit short. It is nice though.
It's a nice sabre. Nice one. Right, should we move on to the next one? Look at how efficient. Yeah. That's only one sword in, that has to be said. Right, let's see what the next one is. Oh.
I'm not looking.
And we've got a special guest. Look who's over there.
He says that he's not been fed, but it's a lie.
He hasn't been on the channel for a while. Does anyone else out there have a ravenous cat that is just always saying that they haven't been fed when you've only just fed them? And before you ask, yes, he has been wormed. Because I just know there's going to be some cat people out there.
He's also had his thyroid tested and everything else.
Right. What can you see of this? Any clues? I'm just going to tear a little bit to give... There we go. Some of you will now know what that is.
Can I see?
Yes. There we go. I love how the bubble wrap's just, it's like frothing, bubbling.
So before I'd seen it, I was going to say that it was artillery, but it's not, is it?
What nationality is it?
Oh, well, I was going to say British, but yes, because you've asked,
that's good. I was making you double guess. Yeah. Wow. So this is quite a common model of sword in Britain because of the... Oh.
It's a numbered Wilkinson.
Oh, well done. Did you see that? She's like, oh, this is a numbered Wilkinson, like a proper aficionado. You're one of us. So the strung bugle, I'll just show you guys that so you can see what Lucy's seeing. That symbol there, I'm going to tell you, because we're trying to be efficient this evening and it's also up on the blade, is...
A crown.
The rifles. So that is a rifles officer's sword.
That's a crown, not a rifle.
There's a crown. No, it's not.
Oh, you're
It's the strung.
It's like, what's happened to my ability to see?
The strung horn is a symbol of the rifles, and so that is a numbered, fairly early numbered. So it's about 1860, I think.
Am I right in saying that the earliest ones don't have that little inset disc?
No, not Wilkinson's. Wilkinson's invented that, so
So they all have that. So is it that the
Wilkinsons do.
earliest ones don't have a number?
Yes.
Okay.
So Wilkinson. So this is a numbered one. So Wilkinsons were numbered, and if you're lucky, there's a name, so you can find out who the officer was who purchased it. But before 1854, they didn't have numbers. So this model of blade comes in 1845, so we can say that that's an 1845 pattern blade. And if it was unnumbered or pre-numbered, that would be 1845 to 1854, and then numbered after that. And with the number, you can tell the date that it was made, you can send off for the record, and hopefully there'll be a name on it, but there isn't.
Weirdly, it
That's
also
lovely.
smells nice. Is that the oil?
Yeah, so the blade is in really nice condition on this, and there is a correlation over the many hundreds and thousands of swords I've had over the years between good condition blades and the smell when they come out of the scabbard, and that is because they were kept in a certain type of mineral oil, gun oil. I actually use Singer sewing machine oil, which is similar.
Nice.
But you can use gun oil, old-fashioned, good old basic mineral oil.
Also, the scabbard still has its lining, which you don't.
Yeah, it has
get.
a wooden liner that goes all the way around instead of just on the sides, which is really interesting. But unfortunately, it's lost its throat at the top. But you know, that's the thing. There is some pitting to the guard and the scabbard, but the
Good condition blade, though.
the blade's in lovely condition, so it's been really well looked after. Oh, that sheath's like silk.
Goes in smooth, right?
Really nice.
Next sword.
Yes,
Powering
that's lovely.
through.
Very nice. So, relatively early numbered Wilkinson Rifles Officer's Sword. Right, next up, let's see.
I've already forgotten what the first one was that's not a 1796.
It's just not a 1796.
Oh, so it's not got a proper name?
No.
It's like a trick question.
Right, okay. Oh.
Is it another not a 1796?
Right, so here we go.
Wait a minute, is it a 1796?
I'm going to give you a little glimpse. Who can guess what that is? Look at that. Get posting down below if you know what that is. Lucy, what is it?
That's interesting.
Ha ha!
That's got quite a fancy blade on it. So that is artillery because it's got a cannon on it. Yes?
No.
It was a trick cannon.
Yeah.
Or is that
it's
not
just-
a cannon?
No, they've just put lots of emblems on that on the blade, but it's well, it could be horse
Is
artillery.
it now
but-
a 1796?
Yes! It's a 1796 light cavalry sabre, but most importantly,
So why has it got a cannon on it if it's not to do with cannon people?
it might do. I'll talk about that in a second, but the headlines
Got
of this.
bluing.
So it's a 1796 light cavalry sabre, but, I'll just take that label off, but it is an officer's one. And yes, because it's got the remains, you can probably just see there, from the base of the blade up to there, it's got the remains of blue and gilt. And what Lucy was talking about is there, one of the sort of emblems, it's got a bunch of engraved decoration. It's got a Union Jack shield down here. It's got the lion and unicorn with the crown. On this side, it's got GR, that's for George III. Oh, it's been sharpened. Wow, nice. Been well service
Don't
sharpened.
cut yourself right at the beginning.
No, I mean, it's not sharp, but you can tell it's had a service sharpened edge on it. But it's got a picture of a cannon, and the thing is, it's part of what's called a stand of arms. So actually, it's got drums on the other side, it's got flags, it's got cannons.
So just war stuff.
Yeah, war stuff. So, essentially like trophies of war.
That's really nice. You should keep that one.
Yeah, that's got a nice grip on it, hasn't it? And it's got a tiny bit of movement in the guard, but it's fairly
The way it's etched
secure.
is quite
That's a
different
nice
as
sword,
well.
isn't that beautiful?
That's really nice.
And as we now know from the recent video I put up with Todd and Scal, apparently Todd's favourite antique sword is a 1790. Yeah, and I think Scal chose it as well, actually. Yeah, he did in
What
the
was
end.
yours?
It was the Osborne and Gumby version, so the clipped point, straighter pointy,
Okay.
rarer one, more expensive
But
one.
they're similar thing.
But yeah, so there we go. So if you want to have an antique sword like Todd would like, then check on my website. But 1796 light cavalry sabre, beautiful shape, really nice
So
example.
are you going to keep it or sell it?
I'll sell this one.
Sad.
I've got others in my collection. I
times.
can't see a maker marked on this, but I'll have a proper look later. But yes, nice one. Let's move on to the next sword. Look how efficient we're being. This is like, we're actually living up, for once, to what I claim. So, This is the last sword in this bundle. So if you guessed 4, Lucy guessed 5. If you guessed 4 in the bundle, pat yourself on the back, have a drink or a chocolate biscuit, whichever is your preference. Right, so. Right, okay, let's have a look. So what do you think that might be? Post down below. This is sword number 3. So what do you think sword number 3 is? Lucy? What
sword number 4.
4. Sorry, I can't count. This is sword number 4. There was too much bubble wrap. What do you think sword number 4 is? Lucy, what do you think sword number 4 is?
I recoiled from sword number 4.
You know what this is. I don't understand why she looks confused.
I look confused because I thought that it was a cutlass, but the blade is straight, so I actually don't know what it is.
Do you not get straight cutlasses?
Do you get straight cutlasses?
Yes. But I don't think it is straight. It's not.
It's not straight. It's a cutlass.
It is a cutlass,
okay,
yeah.
Good.
It's a 1845 pattern.
What surprised me was the little number 212 there.
Yeah, I'll just show that to the
cool.
camera, what Lucy was looking at there. So this is a...
Cutlass.
Yeah, it is. It's an 1845 pattern cutlass. Cannot see a maker's name on it at the moment, but...
So in my brain, cutlasses have more of a curve to them.
So the 1845 pattern has a very slight curve, but you actually get straight ones as well. So... and in fact, you even get straight double-edged ones. I sold one recently. So yes, the number and the thing that Lucy was. Woo! Bubble wrap. That made me jump. Don't kneel on bubble wrap, right? Or do if you're into that kind of thing. So that is a brass diamond shape with the number 212. There we go, and. That essentially is like a rack number, and so on
like
board.
On the Warrior when it's
yeah. So on a ship, on a battleship or cruiser, whatever frigate of the day, you'd have a whole bunch of these in racks. Sometimes they would be in racks along the sides of the walls, whatever you call it in the ship. Sometimes they'd be up in racks, up in the kind of ceiling, rafters, whatever you call it in the ship.
Dear Alex, we've forgotten all of the boat
We
words.
need Drakinifil on this, God damn it. Right, anyway, and they'd be numbered. And so that's essentially like an inventory number, so you could check that all the cutlasses were there. And when they went out, if the sailors went out to raid a fortification or to just go on patrol or something, when they came back, you'd make sure that all these swords went back in the correct places. And they would have those sorts of numbers on the firearms as well, because obviously they'd also have muskets and pistols.
Nice.
And stuff. Anyway, so yeah, it needs a bit of a clean up. It's quite dirty and it's a little bit rounded at the tip. It's had a lot of grinding on it, hasn't it? Oh my God, they've single bevel sharpened this. So this is interesting. This is presumably been on campaign, and someone with maybe a lot of spare time at sea has spent a lot of time sharpening this up. Or possibly these were sometimes used for sword feats, like cutting lead bars or cutting sheep in half. So potentially this was used for assaults.
Don't they normally look a bit more bullied if they've been used for that sort of thing?
No, lead's fairly soft, but yeah, originally the lead cutters, if you know what they are, lead cutters originally were just standard ship's cutlasses. So anyway, there we go. Sword number 4 was a cutlass. Oscar really wants to be part of this. Right.
Next box.
We are now moving on to the larger and heavier and slightly floppy box. So I'm going to turn the camera off for a minute while I get this open and get the swords out. We'll be back with you shortly.
Or immediately.
Okay, our worst nightmares have come true. This one's full of packing peanuts. I hate these things. Please stop using them. Right.
Except you can get like eco-friendly dissolvable ones. They're fine.
Yeah, they smell a bit like they're sort of starchy things, aren't they? They're weird anyway.
Sorry, I'm my little friend.
They smell edible. Right. Okay. Ooh. Here's the first sword. And I actually don't know what this is, so I'm going to hand it over to Lucy. Do you have any ideas so far? It looks shortish, it looks sort of cutlass-like.
Like cavalry.
I'm actually guessing alongside you at the moment because I actually have no memory at all of what this is.
Are you guessing like cavalry? That's what I'm guessing.
And it's too short for cavalry.
Is it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
When I first pulled it out, I thought,
light infantry. Because it's light, it doesn't weigh much.
Aha. So what's it got on the hilt, Lucy?
Oh, it's a dangling bugle, which you literally just said.
Please never ever say dangling bugle on.
Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, so what was that? Do you remember?
You say a dangling bugle.
Strong bugle.
I would have sworn completely blind you said dangling.
I try to avoid using the word dangling. Right, so do you remember what it was? It might even say, look, it says there. Look, it actually says.
Essex Rifles, it says. Yeah. Essex, we love Essex.
Yeah, we're big fans of Essex. So shout out, if you're an Essex.
Shout out to Essex.
Post down below.
We love Essex.
Shout out to Essex. I'm a big fan of Essex, actually. I know lots of lovely people from Essex and I go over there occasionally for various reasons.
And the zoo.
So there we go.
That's a nice one.
It's actually not, I don't know why I thought it was so short. It's not short, it's just normal length.
Okay, I'm glad because you had me doubting my ability
so
to
it
know
literally says on the blade up here, it says Essex Rifles, and then we've got that emblem, the strong bugle, here under a crown. So this is Rifle Volunteers for the Essex Rifle Volunteers. Yeah, so probably dates to 1860, 1870, something like that. Yeah, good example. Good. I think it is always an added, because a lot of these just say Rifle Volunteers on them, so it's really nice when it says where it's from. So yes, there we go. Right, let's get on to the next one.
Do they often say where they're from?
Proportionately, no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not rare, but they are more desirable when they do say where they're from. Right, okay, so... Oh, this is two swords. It's two swords. That's brilliant, because that cuts down the amount of time.
There is one very sharp one poking out the end there, so we'll be careful.
Nice, right. Okay, I'm just going to hand it over to Lucy. So the game, if you're not familiar with these videos, is, as she unpacks it, and gives observations, as soon as you realise what it is, if you've got any idea at all, post down below and see if you can, obviously we'll never know, but see if you can get it before Lucy does.
I've been caught out with this assumption before, but I'm going to say it again. I believe, because it has a lion head, that it's going to be naval. Right.
Some navel gazing.
Naval guessing.
Naval, it does look like you might be right. Ah, right. I've got interesting things to say about this one. I've just remembered what this is.
Always have interesting things to say. Oh, it's got the little flappies. I like that.
Careful. Don't do that yet. Just try and because I don't want, because this will have a leather scabbard, so we don't want it to.
Yeah, but I don't want them.
Right. So a little.
Hey, I've got one of
I'm going to give you some good life advice, folks. So if you're looking at an antique sword, this is a steel scabbard, but let's say that this is a leather scabbard. What you don't do is draw it out horizontally, because at that moment, the end of the leather, the very old leather, might be 200 years old, 150 years old, will flop. And there's a good chance that when it flops, the point of the sword will go through the leather and it will break the leather. So if you have a leather scabbard, always hold it vertically and draw upwards. That way, the leather doesn't flop, doesn't bend, doesn't stress the leather, because old leather gets really brittle and is really easy to break. So you see so many of these swords where the leather has been unfortunately torn. So what have we got here? We have a leather scabbard which is not in the best condition. It has the stitching's come undone on the outside.
Outfitters Portsmouth, it says.
Yeah, so it's got, it's Galt and Geeves. Galt and Geeve and Co. Galt, Geeve and Co. Something like that.
Somebody of Portsmouth. It's got the same thing written on the blade.
Yeah, so you can see that we've got all of the elements to the scabbard, but the scabbard's in, yes, that way around, is in not great condition, and that's unfortunately very common with these leather scabbards, but naval swords as well, because if they've been in salt air, they tend to...
It's definitely naval because it's got an anchor on it.
Yeah, so this is a 1846 pattern Royal Navy officer's sword.
Navy, I win.
But...
it looks slightly different.
And it's got an anchor, it's got the... Yeah, it's got some interesting emblems on that side.
Is it slightly earlier than ones you normally have?
No.
It just looks, the guard looks slightly different.
It's about 1870 is my guess, but it's been service sharpened. Ooh, very well service sharpened. But it's got a slightly rusty blade. Now I will clean that up before it goes onto the website, but there is something Really important and really interesting about this sword, which is why I bought it, because it's otherwise, you know, just a Victorian Royal Navy officer's sword, not especially interesting.
What is it?
What can you see along there, Lucy? Don't say, just have a look.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm going to show you guys, and if you realise what it is, get posting down below before I say it. Look down there.
Can
What's
I
that?
Say what I think it is?
Yeah, go on, Lucy.
Is it called a patent hilt?
Yay! So this is a patent hilt, aka patent solid tang, patent solid hilt. That means that the tang is full width. Instead of the tang being hidden and inside, kind of a rat tail and riveted, peened at the end, you have the exposed full width tang at the edge here, like with a knife. Be quiet, Oscar, honestly. Full width exposed tang. So this is extra money. They would have spent extra money on this, and it is Reeves patent. And it doesn't actually say on the blade. Sometimes they say on the blade, patent solid hilt, but this one doesn't. But you can see it's got the patent solid hilt. So in circa 1860, 1870, this person would have paid more money to have that option, and it's emulating the cavalry swords, the 1853 pattern and subsequent patterns after that, and officers paid extra money for this option. Now, there's an article on the Easton Antique Arms website, linked below, about patent solid hilts. They're very interesting, I think they are anyway, and usually the grips are made of what we describe as composition, which is kind of like a pre-plastic material, but the earlier ones are sometimes leather covered wood, or in this case, shagreen, shark skin. So we've got two wooden grip slabs either side. They'll be riveted through, and the rivets are hidden underneath the wire wrap, covered in shark skin or shagreen.
Can I tell you what it feels different to me? And I'm sure that is normal and I've just not noticed, but this angle feels more abrupt.
It's a bit bent.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So the hilt has had a bash here. So this would normally be a little bit more bowed. So this has been squashed and it's forced this angle into right angle. Now, you might ask, because I know some people will be thinking of this, will you try and straighten that? And the answer is no. Unfortunately, old brass can be quite brittle.
Can you gently heat it, or will that be
There are ways and means to do it, but I will not risk it, because unfortunately, if I try and push this outwards, there's a very good chance that it will crack down here. And so it's not worth the risk. And also bear in mind, that could have happened in its life. Now, this has been service sharpened. Feel how sharp that is. Seriously.
I don't think I will.
I mean, it's not going to cut you, but it's been taken on campaign somewhere. So the fact that this is a patent hilt and it's service sharpened, there's a very good chance that this was taken somewhere really interesting, like, I don't know, the Taku Forts campaign in China or something like that, or perhaps to the Sudan or Egypt or whatever. So that could be part of the sword's history. It's entirely possible that this was actually used in anger against Russians or Sudanese or Chinese or whoever, and that actually happened on campaign, not necessarily in combat, but it happened as part of its life. And so that's part of the sword's history. So all I will do is I will clean this up, make it more presentable. It's very dirty and grubby surface rust on some of the blade at the moment. I'll clean it up, spruce it up a bit, make it nice for sale, and that will be on the website in due course. But that is a really nice sword. Obviously the leather scabbards, they get a bit...
Careful, because it's separate.
Yeah. Oh, well, everything's the wrong way around on that. Right, okay, I'll leave them separate. But the leather scabbards tend to not age particularly well. But the beauty of this is it does have all of the parts. So if someone wanted to go for a full restoration, perhaps with new leather, at least you've got the drag, the locket at the top, and the other suspension one in the middle. I don't think they've actually got a dedicated name. So these are, we'd refer to these as the scabbard mountings. So there we go. Very nice. Let's have a look at the next one. So that had another sword in it, didn't it? There we go. Let's see what this one is.
It's stuck.
Do you need the knife? Shall I do a bit of...
Do a bit of knifey on the tape.
A bit of knifey. That's the technical term.
Yes.
Whoop, there we go.
Sorry, I just scratched you with my nail. You'll be disappointed in me because I do recognise that, but I don't know what it is.
Well, you might think you do. So we've got
So is it a thing I've not seen
in case you
before?
can't tell from the lighting, that's brass, okay? So it looks like a 3-bar brass hilt. Huh.
I have no idea. Like no idea
Right,
at all.
I tell you what, I'm gonna put you all out of your misery or whatever. So lots of interesting things about this. So we've got a 3-bar hilt, kind of British light cavalry or artillery in shape, but it's made of brass. The British ones are made of steel. We've got a back piece and pommel cap, which are shaped like an infantry officer's sword. Then we've got an asymmetrical sloping backwards point instead of a spear point. What is this? Where is it from?
No idea.
I don't know.
What?
Yeah, I know, right?
What?
So it's definitely British inspired, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've never seen an exact arrangement like that. If you know, post below. I don't think so. So sometimes people do take parts that they've got lying around and put them together to make a complete sword. It has been painted, but that's very old.
I feel a lot better about having no idea what it is for you having no idea what it is. The 3 bars look familiar.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect that it could be British colonial, or it could be one of the European nations who sort of emulated British swords but changed a few things. I don't know. I don't know. Yes, if you know, then tell us, but I don't know. Right, okay. Oh, we've got more here.
That's something big.
More of the joins together. I tell you what, look away, because one of these isn't wrapped for some reason. Oh, gosh.
Looking away is really hard because there are big doors there and it reflects what he's doing,
right.
So I have to look into the corner.
Okay, I'm going to show this to you people first before I hand it to Lucy. Do you know what that might be? Who lives in a house like this? There we go. There you go, Luce. So the blade's sticking out, so that gives you a big old clue.
Another one cutlass.
Another cutlass, but it's a different model of cutlass.
This is a heavy cutlass.
Do you know which cutlass that is?
Well, it's not a lead cutter, is it?
Let's have a look.
It is heavy.
Let's have a look.
But I don't think it's... because they're like comedy heavy.
Well, they came in 4 sizes. So there is a... Did you not know that? So lead cutters for sword feeds. So lead cutters were they're featured
4?
in 4 different weights. That's officially. In fact, there are other ones. The number 4 is
number 1
ludicrous. Has it? Oh, painted on there. Yeah.
I'm now going with that being the lightest weight of the 4 lead cutters.
So at first sight, this is an 1889 Royal Navy cutlass, and I think that's probably what it is. However, the problem is, because it's got some light pitting and patina on the blade, I can't see any of the markings at the moment. They might become visible when cleaning up. If these have got military markings at the base here, it's probably a Royal Navy cutlass, and it seems to be regulation size. And it hasn't been sharpened, which goes against it being a lead
Sorry
cutter.
about the coughing, I'm trying not to.
It seems to be a ship's cutlass. So I think it's the 1889. But Lucy's completely right that lead cutters do look like that, but they tend to be bigger. Even the number 1 is usually bigger.
It is strangely heavy for a cutlass, though. It's nice. Keep it.
No, that's a seller. Right. Here we go. So we've got another bag with 2 swords in. So there's not really much for you to go on there. Both the hilts are at this end and both the thin ends are at that
scabbards?
end. I don't know.
I will be careful.
I think one of them is and the other one I'm not sure.
They're
I think we're doing well.
They're elastic banded together.
Right, let's cut those elastic bands.
Don't ping me.
Oh, that was really satisfying. I really recommend cutting elastic bands with a knife. It's weirdly satisfying.
Okay.
I don't know why, but the cat, Oscar the cat, Cat Easton, is really annoyed at the moment. I think he wanted to chill out in the sitting room. He's annoyed.
They're also elastic banded at the end.
Right, okay.
Be careful because one's
There we go. There we go.
Right.
So that's 2, isn't it?
Yes.
Aha, right. Okay, let's do the one in the scabbard first. So, does anybody...
Stop. Tangled, thank you.
Does anybody here know... Take that label off. Does anybody here know what this is? This is a very specific pattern. And
is it a number one?
A numbered pattern,
No,
a date.
Is there a date?
Yes, yes.
1876.
No.
1796.
We might be here for a time. You know it's not the 1796. So it's actually what replaced the 1796.
Okay, 1798.
No, I mean they didn't only have a sword for 2 years in service. So,
no, but they
so I'll
could've.
give you a clue. The 1796 was officially in service for approximately...
You know, you're going to make me do maths and show me up.
Right, okay. So do you know which sword replaced the 1796 light cavalry sabre? It was the 1821 pattern light cavalry sabre.
I would not have guessed that.
So this is an 1821 pattern light cavalry sabre in a scabbard. Wow, it's got a nice blade on it. That's good condition blade.
So, had I guessed cavalry sabre, I would have said heavy for that.
So if you
looks chunky.
I'll tell you what. I'll do a bit of history now. So it's a nice sword. So I think that the 1821 pattern is somewhat underappreciated. I think it's a really good model sword, and this model sword is the basis for the light cavalry officer's sword. That was used all the way through to 1896. That's a long time, 70 years, okay, 75 years. And in addition, it's also the basis for the Royal Artillery officer's sword, which is still in use today. So this basic design is still being worn as a dress sword by Royal Artillery officers today. Okay, so I think that's really impressive. And everybody goes, oh, 1796, 1796. But in pure years, this is a more successful model. Now, the question is, why was the 1796 replaced by the 1821? So a couple of reasons, 3 reasons in fact. One is to do with reach. So during the Napoleonic Wars, the 32 to 33 inch blade of the 1796 light cavalry sabre was found to be at a reach disadvantage against some enemy cavalry, French and Spanish primarily. And so they wanted a longer blade. So they came out with a 35.5 inch blade. But more importantly than that, the big deficiency of the 1796 sabre blade, which looks fantastic and cuts well, is it's rubbish at thrusting. Okay, it's a bit short, not got a very good tip for thrusting. So this was a compromise cut and thrust design. And a lot of people go, oh, and it was not as good at cutting as the 1796. No, but it was a lot better at thrusting. So it's a compromise design. And do you know what? This style of blade, like that, had been in use going all the way back to the 8th and 9th century by various people in Eastern Europe, Central and Eastern Europe. Okay, so this style of blade actually was not a new design. It was a designer blade that had been used for 1,000 freaking years, okay? A really successful blade design and continued to be really successful and really widely used. This more specialised cutting designer blade is great for cutting. This is a better compromise design. And lastly, the hilt. Notice, 3-bar hilt, probably based on French swords partially inspired by, but you'll notice the 1796 only has a knuckle bow, so your hand is a lot less protected. So, with this sword, we've got greater reach, we've got greater hand protection, we've got better thrusting ability and a good compromise cut and thrust design. Really good sword and a steel scabbard to keep it safe. That's a really cool sword. Good one, that. I'm happy with that. You're not a fan of it. It's not pretty, but it does the job.
No,
well.
I am a fan of it. It was very nice.
Such enthusiasm. Right.
No, because what I am is totally perplexed by what this is.
That's cool.
So it is cool. It's got a curved grip.
Yeah.
It looks very straight. That is basically all the information I can give to you.
Do you want to show it to the camera because you're holding off? There we go.
Sorry. I do not know what that is.
So this style of grip here is fundamentally a German thing. And that is Prussian. So I actually thought from the pictures that this was a Prussian 1889.
Be careful because that's a little bit.
1889 infantry officer's sword. However, I'm not sure that it is. I think it's actually the cavalry. I think it's the cuirassiers, the Prussian cuirassiers version, and it's missing the third bar. It's actually just broken off here and here. So it should have a third sidebar on the side. But that type of grip is a Prussian thing, and in fact, certain custom swords in Britain, made by people like Wilkinson, have this shaped grip, and they described it in the British sources as a German grip. So this is fundamentally a German sword, probably for heavy cavalry, cuirassier specifically. The blade is, let's be honest, it's not in great condition, this sword. It's got a very loose hilt. It's lost the leather washer, it's got it's lost the outer bar, various cosmetic issues, but it is an interesting sword. And personally, I am a big fan of these canted grips because they really bring, for thrusting, they really bring the sword online. It's like a pistol grip, basically.
Oh, that's quite interesting.
Yeah. And it also means when you cut with these things that the blade kind of is forward of where it feels like it is in your hand.
The blade is bent, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it
might be bent back.
Probably straighten that. Yeah. But it's got lots of issues. As a sword, as a single example, this has got all sorts of issues.
But as a sword, it's also really quite interesting.
And in case you didn't know, on my website I've got a section for restoration and budget economy, essentially. So anything like this, which has got a lot of cosmetic issues, it will just go into that section and be priced appropriately. So yeah, it's got all sorts of issues with it, but it is an interesting sword.
You could do something with it though if you wanted to.
And I really like the shape of how that grip sits in the hand.
Do you have any more like that?
I had a really nice one that I sold recently, actually, but in my personal collection.
Get another one.
Well, I'm not really a German sword collector. Right.
But I want to hold it.
Nothing against German swords, it's just I can't collect everything. Right, these are the final swords, and there are 3 in there.
Knife time.
Okay, so let's see if you can guess them as they come out. Now, do you think that we have been efficient? Do you like us being quicker? Would you like us to be slower? What do you prefer? What other swords would you like me to try and acquire to feature on the channel? Right. Okay, so the first sword which is coming out, I will reveal to you. Some of you out there will know exactly what this is. Okay, the question is, can Lucy remember what it is?
It's always a really, really hit and miss.
There we go. So, first of all, what nationality do you think it is?
British.
Yes. Do I have a lot of this pattern?
Yes.
Yes.
Should I really know what it is? Yes.
So it's one of the most common models of sword that come through my hands.
This is interesting.
Right, okay, tell me.
Well, because I'd assumed it was a Wilkinson.
Yeah.
It looks like a Wilkinson, it's numbered on the back, but it says Thresher and Glennie.
Okay, where they're London. Okay, so that's the outfitter. So very often when you see a name on the base of the blade, I'll just show that to the camera.
So could it still be
here.
Blade made by Wilkinson?
There are... Let's have a look at that proof disc. It's got a P in the centre, which means the blade was made by Pillin. So Pillin was one of Wilkinson's main competitors, also a London sword maker.
I didn't know they numbered their swords.
Pillin did, yeah.
I did not know that.
So it will be possible to get a fairly close date range on that because Pillin started numbering their swords in the 1880s, 1890s. But they didn't number all their swords, confusingly. But thresher, so the name that's actually etched on the ricasso, is the outfitter. So an officer has to buy all their gear. They have to buy their uniform, their binoculars, their revolver, their sword, and they go to an outfitter's to do that. And they probably bought this with their uniform, but the blade was made, in fact the whole sword was probably made, by Pillin and sold to Thresher, the outfitter, who then put their thing on it, their etching on it.
I like this.
So let's do another test, because Lucy just loves being tested. So on the blade there is a monarch's cipher, so a crown above.
So I'm confused by that, because the letters, and so it's seventh.
Yeah, and it's got the same there.
But it looks like an R.
So which monarchs have the British had, which had the number 7 in? We've had a Henry VII, but that was in 1485.
Yeah, it's not that.
So it's not Henry VII. Have we had an Edward VII?
Very short period of time.
Yeah, fairly. So Queen Victoria's son.
Yeah.
So this is an Edward VII period.
But why does that look like an R?
ER, Edward Rex.
Okay.
So, so Victoria would be VR, or which is Victoria Regina, or it could be VRI, which is Victoria Regina Imperator. So in 1876, Queen Victoria was made Empress of India, and in fact, Edward was also Emperor of India, Imperator, and then George V and George VI were also.
So is that light
Emperor
infantry?
It's just infantry.
But it's light?
No. There's no such thing as light infantry in terms of swords.
Really?
So, no. So there's rifles, swords, and there's infantry.
Is there heavy infantry?
No.
That's so interesting.
There is in the Roman period, but not no. So
infantry swords that are light or heavy, they just weigh a bit different when I'm holding them. That's not because there
is no light or heavy infantry swords.
That's just my perception of how they're weighted.
Some are just heavier or lighter.
That's really funny.
So this has got a little bit of surface rust that I'll be able to clean off. It needs a bit of a clean up, but this is an Edward VII 1897 pattern. So that's still the current pattern today. So if you go to Buckingham Palace,
as you do,
that's not a great example actually, because most of them are foot guards and they actually have a different model hilt. But anyway, if you see the British Army in general, if they're infantry officers marching around with a sword, then very often it will be this 1897 pattern, and it's a dumbbell section, blunt for the first half of the blade, which Lucy noticed recently is a thing.
It's not just blunt, it's like flattened blunt.
Yeah,
it's blunter than blunt.
So this model of blade is completely blunt front and back for the first half of the blade, and then it's edged and pointed, obviously, for the second half of the blade. So this is basically a thrusting type of sword, but they can be edged up here for cutting near the tip. But this base of the blade is completely like an I-beam or H-girder. It's completely blunt, and that is for parrying. So it's a very, very strong and stiff base of the blade for parrying bayonets and other swords. And then the end of the blade for thrusting mostly to riposte. And a very good guard. So it's a really good design. It is, yeah. So this is, when it's wood and leather, that is a field service scabbard. For parade, we would call it dress scabbard, and that is made of nickel-plated steel, which I don't have one of here. But if it's shiny metal, then that's the parade scabbard. And then when you go on campaign, so this person may have gone to World War I, they would have worn this field service scabbard. Okay, so we're on to the final two swords. Let's do both of these in one go. We could pull them like a Christmas cracker.
That would be so safe.
Actually, you do that one first. Oh, right. Okay, stop.
Sounded like a Mario Kart
That was
character.
a weird noise. What's that? One of these was featured recently on my video with Scal and Todd. Lucy knows only too well what that is.
Oh, don't. It's a spadroon.
Yay! Of what year? Same as the sabre.
You think that I can...
Quiet, cat.
Leave him alone. I can't remember.
1796.
Okay.
So, if you didn't know this, let me show the camera. Right, There's people watching out there.
Hi.
It's not just us.
I just want to see what it says.
So this is the 1796 Infantry Officers' Spadroon. So if you were a light cavalry officer...
Or light infantry.
If you were a light cavalry officer, you had one of these. If you were in the infantry, you had one of these. If you were in heavy cavalry, you had a different sword. Cat. Right. So this is the standard infantry officer's sword.
Can I have it back?
And it has, just like the one we looked at in the video today, it has that folding guard. Do you remember what the folding guard's for?
For putting it on your side?
Yes, for wearing, just to make it more comfortable.
I thought that was a trick question.
Prevent wear and tear on the...
I was going to say, for when you attach your gun to the side of it and then shoot down it as a gun knife.
And it's got some... Can you see what that says there? It's got some writing on the blade. What's wrong with the cat?
He's just chatting. You leave him alone. It looks like wanted, but I'm
warranted, which means it's been tested.
One moment. It's just got interesting pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lady.
Right, I'm sure that was fascinating viewing for you all about that. Right, so this is...
You can just edit me out of this, it'll be fine.
Oh, that's Britannia. Look, she's got a shield with the Union Jack on it.
See, it was interesting.
So it has patriotic emblems on it. I can't actually see a maker's name on this. I expected to see one. I think it could be Gill made, but I can't see it written anywhere right now. But yes, there we go. 1796, Infantry Officers' Spadroon. Some people freaking love spadroons, some people hate them. What do you think about spadroons? Let us know down in the comments. I actually think they're not that bad. And did you notice, for everybody who's watched the video, I think Scal is a fan of spadroons now. It was very obvious when we were filming that he was quite charmed by the spadroon. Right, okay.
They are quite charming. I think that's a good word for them.
I think Scal had always been told what terrible swords they were, and then actually seeing some in the flesh made him realise actually they're not that bad, because they're fundamentally a beefed up small sword. So long as you're stabbing people with them, they're actually pretty good swords. Right, this is actually quite funny because this actually relates to something I said about 5 minutes ago. Lucy's like...
I should have listened!
See, I told her she should have listened to me. Oh my gosh, that's rusty.
I'm afraid that that's relic condition.
Well, let's see, it might clean up.
You could use Alex's laser.
The laser rust removal video is coming at some point, folks. So I'm going to have to step in here because
it says lots of words, but they're very obscured by rust.
So there's only one possible thing on this sword. So first of all, I'll show it to you guys. Do you know what this is? So it's numbered on the back. It's numbered on the back, and it has a lot of corrosion on it. It's got rust on the blade. It's got corrosion on the nickel plating on the hilt. But do you recognise that emblem?
I do, but I can't remember what it is, I'm afraid.
What does it look like it is?
A bomb.
It does look like a bomb.
Does
it look like a grenade?
Grenadier
Guards, yes. So this it's a Wilkinson made because it's numbered on the spine. It's a Wilkinson made Grenadier Guards officer's sword. But, and there's no way Lucy could know this, so I'm just going to tell you. This is an 1845 pattern blade, and it's numbered on the back to a date at some point in the 1880s. However, this hilt has a straight and fully checkered back piece. That means that hilt dates to after 1895, because this is the 1895 pattern back piece. And this blade dates to before, well, we can see it dates to the 1880s, but this type of blade, because it is single-edged instead of a thrusting blade, dates to before 1892. So in other words, the person who owned this blade got a new hilt later on, okay? Or potentially it could be a family blade. So it could be the father, this was the father's sword, and the son joined the Grenadier Guards and had it hilted. We don't know. But I'll do some research and see if the Wilkinson number turns anything up.
Can I try and clean that? Because it looks like fun.
We shall see. That was my diplomatic answer.
Why not?
But we shall see. We'll see how this cleans up. But
let her clean it.
It's in pretty. It's all structurally sound and a really interesting sword, and it has
Oscar agrees.
It has been service sharpened. So an interesting, and I can see from the etching pattern that this is actually a Grenadier Guards. The cat really wants to be part of this, and it's got the battle honours down the side. So it's a really nice Wilkinson Grenadier Guards blade. Lot of corrosion, requires a lot of cleaning. However, it is structurally sound, straight, service sharpened. So it's fundamentally a nice sword. Just needs some TLC. Right,
is that the end?
That is the end. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 swords. There we go. Woo! I don't think have we ever done 13 swords on a video before?
It seems unlikely.
Anyway, that was good going.
13 sword day is a strong day.
Just check there's no more in the boxes. No. Well, that was brilliant. Which one was your favourite of all of those swords?
Which one was your favourite?
I really like this Wilkinson with a really nice blade, the rifles sword. Do you know what? Because
I like the cutlasses.
I always like a cutlass, but for the research potential, I actually like the rusty Grenadier Guard sword.
Is that when you won't let me play cleaning it?
Partly.
Okay.
Well, it might turn out to be
that's
someone.
fair enough.
It might turn out to be someone quite
I'll do
important.
a really good job.
I also really like although it's not in fantastic condition. It's in
I do
good.
like that.
The blue and
too.
gilt 1796 with quite sharp edge. I like that. I also really like, because they're rare, the patent solid hilt navy sword as well. I love a patent solid hilt. But because they're underappreciated and I think a really good design, I also really like the 1821 light cavalry.
In summary, his one favourite sword is 6 sword.
I actually like, I like quite a lot of these. They're all interesting, but you know.
But what's your favourite sword?
Yeah, which was your favourite? Which one?
There is no wrong answer.
No commitment to buy, but if you were buying one of these, which one would you buy, money aside, value aside? Which one would you most like to have in your collection? What would you like to see featured on the channel in the future? And how many of them did you guess? And very importantly, because this is becoming a tradition, did you make it to the final sword? If you made it to the final sword, post final sword down below. Meanwhile, from Lucy, it's...
Bye!
From Oscar the cat, it's... Oh, and now he's silent.
He's now having a wash.
He's washing himself in a pile of...
Special guest.
Of packing peanuts. And from me, it's Matt Easton. I will continue to be. Lucy hates it when I say that.
I really hate it.
And I will see you back on the channel really soon. Cheers, folks.